This is the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, brought to you by Cisco. Cisco is here to help set you up for success by delivering high-quality foods, products, and services for your restaurant. Recording live to digital from the NCF&B studios in downtown Raleigh. Join us as we lead you into the kitchen, inside the bottle, and into the minds of the food and beverage industry. And now, it's your favorite Yelp elite, Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your solo host today, Matthew Weiss. Max is unfortunately caught with the flu. It got him. It got the best of us. I was down. We've all been. I'm sure you're all, probably some of you are listening at home right now and a little bit sick. But while you're recovering, hopefully drinking or eating your chicken soup or whatever your home remedy is, we have an amazing chef in for a recurring appearance because this man is a two-time James Beard nominee for Best Chef Southeast, the chef of Little Bull in Durham, Mr. Oscar Diaz.
Awesome. Thank you. Great intro.
Thank you, man. Well, you're worthy. So welcome back.
Thank you. Feels good to be back. It looks a lot different in here from the last time. We're digital, like video, everything now.
You know, man, you got to be in the new year, in the new space, 2024. I mean, probably like we're like current with 2022 with the video at this point. But
it's hard to keep up with all this stuff. I think I'm up to date with stuff, and then I'm like already left in the dust.
It's the kids that know it. You know, like you got to ask the kids
for real. Yeah, no, I'm at that point now where I'm like, I don't know how to do certain things, so I'm just like, I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna stay away from. I don't want to ask either because I'm like, I just know how it looks and sounds. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need.
All right, this is a good jumping off point because I was doing my research on you.
Yeah,
and you're like a hip dude. Some of the things were describing you as a celebrity chef. You got some James Beard pubs and all that, but like, I think your last post on Instagram was like November.
Oh yeah, that was probably like a shared post. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, I've just never been good at social media. Kind of. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to post. I like to kind of like. I'll be at a concert. I'll see people with their phones, and I'm like, you're kind of fucking missing the whole thing.
Oh, I totally feel the same way.
I feel like posting. So I don't know, man. I feel weird sometimes posting. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, even if it's good things that happen, like I know for the business you need to be posting and doing this and be active, but like I kind of like the privacy. I like to live my life. I like to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're trying to capture everything, it's like if I'm like, for example, my chef de cuisine, I should have brought his ass, Camilo Espada, but he's always really good at being at work and like snapping a picture and posting. And it's like, I think I'm just not good at multitasking. And like, I'm all about like that moment and the creativity. And so like when I'm in it, I'm in it. And if I pull out a phone, I start feeling the stress. I'm like, oh, that picture doesn't look good, or there's shit everywhere. And I don't know, but it's just like that with everything. Like I don't take a lot of pictures. I don't post. I mean, I have stuff for myself, but I don't know. It's weird. I don't do it, and people ask me, and when I do, like, I get likes and stuff like that. But celebrity chef, no, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's cool if someone thinks that, but like, I'm a regular ass dude, man.
Yeah.
Like, I got into cooking because I don't know what the fuck I was doing, you know. So like, I get it that they were like viewed as rock stars, and I definitely have partied like a rock star in my life, and done cool stuff. And the James Beard nods and all that has been amazing for the business, and it feels good. To get kind of like that acknowledgement because I do work hard at what I do and I love it, but unfortunately, I guess, right? Like I've never really been good at posting, and I don't know. I can't explain it.
Well, the reason I ask, by the way, I feel the same way. Like Max, he's really good at it.
Yeah,
he can like zoom out in the moment and like get the right picture, and he's better with technology than I am, but I'm always the same way. Like, oh, I want to share this. This is a cool moment, but then I'm like, well, what's the right hashtag? What's the right filter I should use? And I'm just like, F it, man. It's not even worth it. Like, I just want to be in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally exactly how I feel. I'm like, okay, I got it now. Now I got to write something. And do I put a song on it and then tag all these people? And then I forget to tag people. And then I'm like, if someone could do it for me, I'd probably be better off. And then, like, back in the day, I guess when I felt more anonymous, right? Like I don't know if I'm a celebrity chef, but like there's more eyes looking at me, which is good. But like I used to just post like weird shit. Like I didn't know what Instagram was.
Stuff about food or
no, just like anything.
Just
Like if I was
anything,
just
yeah.
out like drinking and there's like I'd be like,
here's my beer.
yeah, and I'm like getting faded, and it's like then people are like, hey, and so that's the other thing is like I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes it changes me, right? Like I'm not being sincere on social media sometimes. Like it's not that I'm not. I am actually, and the sincerity is that I don't fucking do it. But like stories, I feel less pressure. Like I'm like, hey, and like we're cool, right? Like it was like in the moment, didn't have to like set up a whole thing, write about myself.
Yeah, it's just authentic. And
yeah,
raw.
I'm not like narrating a picture or something, or you know what I mean. I'm not like pimping out my talents or anything.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I just I think that's for me. I feel like different when I'm posting. I feel like a different kind of person. Like I'm like, oh, you got to make sure that it. I don't know, man. It takes away. Then like you get like 3 likes, and you're like,
oh,
I'm
shit,
a failure.
Okay, but so the reason I ask is because I was under the assumption, or I feel like, I mean, James Beard is a prestigious award, but part of it is you got to be promoting yourself, or you have to have somebody be promoting yourself.
Yeah.
So how did those come about? Like, I forget. Do you need to submit yourself? Does somebody need to submit yourself? I know for media awards, you do need to submit yourself.
I think you can submit yourself. Honestly, the first time I don't know who did it. Like, all I know is I was in a good media press at the time. Like,
because you opened the Cortez, right? And you had Jose and Sons.
Yeah, I think that was like when I got on Time magazine, and so somebody nominated me, and I mean that was like a complete surprise. So that was really fucking cool. And I don't know the rules to the game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a PR firm. I don't have like anything. I don't.
You don't have any, or the restaurant doesn't have any PR behind it that gets it. Well, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, just like that means you are solely winning on your talents. But maybe next.
I got no steroids in this body. You can drug. Well, I mean, if you drug
You're
test
all
me, I'm
natural.
gonna fail some shit, right? But no, yeah. I mean, I want it, right? But like right now, I mean, I don't know how other people do it, right? And I don't have a lot of friends in the industry, and honestly, I don't reach out for a lot of these things. Now that I'm getting a little bit older, I'm starting to pay more attention to stuff. I'm like, okay, I really was just kind of dumb. Like I was just in the game to cook. I loved cooking. I had this idea in my mind that I wanted to bring out this style of food. Like I think I spent more time in my life trying to make the people that told me something like no, or you can't do that, or that'll never make it, proving them wrong to me internally.
Yeah, because I remember from way back when you were on in June of 2019, you were saying like teachers were you weren't the greatest student.
I was a really good student.
Oh, maybe I had that wrong.
I was like, damn, you got a good memory, but then I'm like, man. No. I mean, maybe I said something maybe like culinary school. I dropped out. I just didn't care because that. Again, I was a good student. Like, I mean, I was always a smart. I was smart.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I was a smart kid, but I just kind of didn't care about school at some point. Like, when I was in college and all, I was like, what am I doing? And like, nothing made sense. So I was just going through this weird, empty part of my life. And then cooking came into my mind, and I went to Vegas. And like I had a little temporary job at a fish fry place, but I ended up working at these Michelin star restaurant, and the way they kicked my ass was so unique that like I was like, oh, this is for me, and like so that's kind of where it all started. So anyway,
so you're kind of a masochist,
a little bit,
yeah.
I needed like discipline, right? Like I went to military school and stuff like that, so everything was so regimented. But like,
were your parents in the military?
No. I don't know.
Were you a wild child?
A little bit. I mean, I was, for being smart, I was definitely kind of always getting in trouble, and like my mom worked at the grammar school that I went to.
Okay,
she just like, I don't know, she used to work there for free doing this like computer program, like Chapter 1 for kids who couldn't read and stuff.
Okay.
She was just like donating her time, and then eventually she became like a legit teacher there. So it just kind of sucked because I was always in trouble, and it was like
she's like, your ass is going to military
all day
school.
She could see me getting in trouble. Anyway, I'm
not
I
want to send my 4-year-old to military school.
I will say Culver Military Academy was great. I went to one called Le Mans Academy when I was still like, I think it was like 7th grade. And then high school, I went to Culver Military Academy, and that was a great school. The education was great. The whole experience was great. It's co-ed. I played sports. Like, I mean, they had everything there. So I don't, like, regret it. But nonetheless, there was discipline. So I think that's what kind of happened with me is, like, when I came across the kitchens, like, if I don't have something guiding me, then I can kind of just, idle hands in a sense. Like, I can just start doing wild things. And I was always kind of a creative. Like I was DJing, I was like rapping, I was trying to produce, I was doing a bunch of stuff. I was in a Spanish rock band.
Like Menudo?
No, that's a pop band.
Oh, fair.
But no, I was in a Spanish rock band. I mean, like we sounded like rock, but it
Did
was,
you sang in Spanish?
I mean, yeah, the guys would sing in Spanish. I kind of just I came late. My friends were always in bands, and I would just.
What do you play or you sing?
The bong back then was one of my best instruments.
The bong?
The bong.
The bong. Okay.
No, I DJ'd. I would make like sound effects for them, and I would like record their voices and then like loop it over and create echoes. And then I started learning how to drum a little bit. Like my friends were always in bands, but I would be gone at military school, so I'd come back in the summer, and I'm like, all my homies are doing this. I'm like, I'm gonna get into it.
Right.
But I really like learned how to DJ, and that's where I would do like the most. And then on my free time, I would like make little beats and stuff like that. So I just had this like creative drive, and then every job I did was like not creative. Like it's like you're in an office 9 to 5, like just fucking data entry and stuff. And I'd be like falling asleep, snoring, and people are like, "Hey, what the hell?" And I'm like, "Ugh," and I'm like, I also starting to feel down about myself because I'm like, "What is wrong with me, bro?"
Right.
I'm like,
how come everybody can do this?
Right, and I'm just like, I like eat my lunch like as soon as I get there, and then I'm like taking a nap. And I'm like the worst employee, right?
But you're like, yo, let me make you some ceviche, and then that's a whole different level.
And I didn't even know how to cook. Like I didn't know anything. I knew how to eat. And I do think that's important. Honestly,
and your mom was a good cook, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in like a typical Mexican household where like my mom for like for a very long time was like a stay-at-home mom that would just like cook. We had like home cooked meals every day.
Single
No.
Your dad was
my father. Yeah,
okay.
They're still together.
Nice.
And so we always just ate at home. And then when I'd go to Mexico for the summers, my parents, because we grew up like in a bad neighborhood in Chicago, so like my parents would kind of send us to Mexico, or they would. My mom, my brothers, we would all go to Mexico. My father would meet us there later because he had like a smaller vacation.
What did he do?
My father actually worked for the CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority. So he was a bus driver in Chicago.
Right on.
He retired really young though, because he came to the States when he was super young. He was like maybe like 16, 17. And he was in LA. He didn't like it. He moved to Chicago like in, I don't know, 60s or some shit like that, 70s. And he like worked around. But anyway, he got a job there. So like I think by the time he was like 42, 43, he was like retired.
Work for the city, man.
Yeah.
Early pension.
Yeah, because they were like, hey, we don't want to pay all these old timers. And he, the deal was great. He's like, took it. So then, anyway, our family started changing from that point on. But I grew up in a household, and then when I go to Mexico, everybody's always cooking. Like I had aunts. There's like always certain aunts that cook better than others. I won't get into naming it, but like, so I was always around really good food. But I definitely enjoyed eating, and I think I was of good tooth. I had a good palate. I really enjoyed eating, so it made the transition into cooking at least easy on the point where I'm like, I know good, like I like good flavors and stuff like that.
So I think the whole reason we went down this road is because we were talking about the whole social media getting James Beard nominations. Yeah. But what I like about it is it seems more of a genuine path, right? Like a lot of chefs, from what I hear, I'm not hiring, but I'm tangentially in the business through my wine business, get in it because they think they're going to be a celebrity chef. They think they're going to be on Top Chef. They think they're going to get a James Beard nomination. So they're like, oh, cool, I'll be a chef. But versus like, oh, I just really love to cook. I love this whole business. I love the system of it.
Yeah, I feel bad for anybody who gets in it for those things, man. I mean, for every fucking Gordon Ramsay, there's like a million fucking people that don't. I mean, it's not that they don't make it, but they don't. The thing is that, again, like, ignorance is bliss in a sense, right? Like, so I didn't, even though I worked at Michelin star restaurants, for me, it was different, man. Like, I mean, at one point, it wasn't even really that much about the food. At one point, it was like, okay, I'm finally feeling something. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, I'm not the kind of person that really, like, calls people a lot and, like, keeps in contact and stuff. But, like, when I moved to Vegas, I remember going into the Palms Casino and, like, I would go up, you had to wait for the elevator, and then you go up to the last floor where Alizé was, and I wanted to like throw up. I'm like, whoa, and I'm like, what's wrong? And I like call my mom, and I'm like, I don't know if, and she'd be like, well, you're not punking out now, She's like, you went all the way to Vegas. She's like, you better go in there and just it's gonna, and this kind of always sticks with me. She didn't say it exactly like this, but this is how I've translated it from then on. I'm like, shit always fucking sucks until it doesn't. And I'm sorry, can we swear on this? Is that
Yeah,
bad?
yeah, we're not FCC
I'm a
regular.
little bit of a potty mouth, but
That's fine.
but yeah, and it's true. I'm like, it sucks. Like everything's hard as hell until it starts getting easier and easier and easier. And then from there's a couple roads you can take. You can just be like, oh, well, it's easy now. Or you can make it hard for yourself again. And then you start really mastering shit. So, that's kind of what it was for me. So I remember calling and that feeling, the fact that I got taken to a point where I'm like calling my mom.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not
As
that
a
kind of
grown man,
person.
yeah.
I mean, I was still relatively young, right, at the time. But I thought I was a badass for sure, right? I'm like, doing all, I'm like, I'm going to leave, I'm doing this. And the next thing I know, I'm like, I'm being humbled. And I'm like, holy shit, I don't know anything. And then it just like was a mindset where I'm like, okay, like I kind of lied to get that first job. So,
Yeah, we all do.
I mean, I didn't really lie, but
You stretch the truth.
a whole fuck ton.
Yeah.
And so, I got put on a fish station, and I remember they were like, hey, pass me that Thermidor. And I thought it was like a box. Anyway, probably talked about this before, but it's like a memory that sticks with me. And anyway, I got demoted. They were like, yo, you're going to be the veg guy because you can't handle this shit. And then it was weird. And then it was like I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going to get back to that station. And then I'm going to do that station. And then I'm going to do this. And then, years went by, and I'm just like running up the ladder of cooking. And it was just the discipline that I needed. And it was like, I mean, I know people complain about it now, and I get it. Like, a lot of things are messed up in every industry, right? But like, I needed that. I needed someone to be like, yo, fuck you. Like, you're going to do this and shut up. And I'm like, all right. And then next thing I know, I'm doing it and I get it, right? Like, I get it because I've been in, like, not the military, but I've been in military. It's like, this is just discipline, right? And it's like, hey, man, like, I know you think you're this and that, but, like, you're going to do these things. And then, anyway. So, then it became about, I want to create my own food. And then, So, yeah, I mean, I didn't get into it for fame. I never thought about, like, I'm going to get Michelin stars or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I worked for those things, and I think I can. But to me, it was, like, prove to everybody that, like, I could make this style of food that I think about a lot, that I think is kind of American. And then also, like, just because you're Mexican doesn't mean that that's all you make. And then also what people think Mexican is everywhere you go is so different. So, like, I don't know, man. I just had this idea about what I thought food could be, and it became fun. And I've always liked being creative, right? Like, I like DJing. I like being in bands. I like rapping a lot. Like, and not even that I was a great rapper or anything like that, but it's like, I just like that chaos that, like you go on a stage and there's people watching you, and I have nothing prepared. And I'm like, well, let's see if it works today, you know? And then
see how good my brain works.
Some days it works, and then some days it doesn't. And when it does, when you flop and you can't get anything to rhyme or make sense, it feels horrible. Like, you're like, ugh. But then when you do it and it does work, and people are like, oh shit, like, did you write that? And you're like, no, I blacked out. I don't even know what I said. And then it's weird. It's just that feeling. So I was on the chase for that. Like, that was like an addiction for me. So, like,
but you can't do that in the kitchen, though. Give me a second here because I want to get into, like, how you do that in the kitchen, and also being that you came up through, like, a very military school, disciplined ranks in the kitchen. Sounds like it was like a very old school brigade system. I want to see how that translates now into your kitchens now. But before we get there, so hold that thought in your head. That you don't have to freestyle that one. No. One of your big tenets is freshness and quality. There's talks about, like, you're always going to the farmer's market. Sometimes you even go to the happy hour there from like 5 o'clock just to see what they get for $1 and implement that in the day's work. So, talking about freshness and quality, I want to take a quick moment to talk about our proud title sponsor, Sysco. As the industry leader in food service, Sysco's reputation is on the line with every product they deliver. That's why they ensure Sysco brand products offer the best in quality and freshness every time. First, quality. Sysco products are monitored by dedicated inspectors using industry-leading standards to make sure customers receive the top ingredients available. That means you, Oscar Diaz, can count on consistency and, above all, food safety in every product. And as for freshness, Sysco serves up natural, hand-selected produce that's beautiful on the plate and delicious on the palate, because your menu can only be as good as its ingredients, and you deserve to shop with confidence. When you shop Sysco, you shop the best. Visit Sysco.com, that's SYSCO.com, to discover the value of fresh, quality products from Sysco Shop. Sysco, at the heart of food and service. And one more thing, if you see over your right shoulder there that you're going to go home with that coffee there, you see that Carborough coffee? Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab that.
Okay.
Hold it up to the camera so everyone can see there. Thank you. That is the Carborough Coffee Roasters winter solstice coffee. So you're going to go home with that today, and they are a great partner. Their sourcing is immaculate. Their people are immaculate, ethically responsible, the whole thing. And Lane Mitchell will be back on another episode to tell us all about it.
That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it, man.
I just got into coffee, man. I went my whole life without being able to drink it.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah, I used to pass out. I'd like faint and stuff. I'd get like
oh, you're one of those people that like caffeine hyper affects you.
yeah. So like my first experience with that was like after church as a kid. Like they would go have coffee at the rectory where like the priest are or whatever, and I like snuck some coffee. I was like, they thought they were gonna have to give me an exorcism. I was like jumping over beds. I was saying, wow, I was like hallucinating, I think. And then later, like I almost had to like emergency land a plane once on my way to Chicago because I drank a little coffee before the flight because I had to drive, and I was like, I was like, I think I could do it.
Yeah.
And again, I never tried it that much, but yeah, I mean, it's like it was so bad. It was scary to drink coffee.
So how can you drink it now?
Well, you know, every now and then I like to test the limits of myself, and I was like, one
it's like
time
free drugs though. I mean,
well, now that I drink it, I'm like, this is a drug.
Oh,
man.
it totally. I mean,
like,
caffeine absolutely is.
and I've seen it because people transform, especially being in the restaurants. Like people show up and they're like, looking like, you know, what's that band, the Gorillas? You know, they're little cartoon characters looking all zombied out. They're like, and then they like have coffee and you see life come into them, and then I'm like, that's like unfair. I'm like, they have a sports or like a enhancing drug. They can like do stuff now.
Yeah.
But I get one of my first chefs from that place in Vegas that we were talking about. He told me, he was like, you don't drink coffee? I was like, no, I can't. He's like, you're never gonna make it in this industry. So Chef Mark, you were wrong. I made it, but he was a cool guy, by the way. He was a great mentor. But
shout him out, Chef Mark.
Chef Mark Purdy. Haven't spoke to him since the last time I spoke to him, which that's the way it works with everybody. But that was years and when I worked there. But I learned so much from them, and they gave a complete nobody a chance to work at a great place and really set my career off in the right direction because he taught me how to like create. I'm so tangenty, so if I get off, just guide me back. Like I need the bumper rails.
Well, here let's go back because okay, so first of all, so if people don't know you, just to establish you, so at one point, and this has changed recently, so you'll update us, but you were chef of the Cortez and Cuya in Raleigh, Jose and Sons, and then in June you opened up Little Bull in Durham. So tell us about what you're helming up now, and I guess you're no longer at the Cortez, is that right?
Yeah, no, I'm no longer at Cortez. Okay. So I was doing it for a while, but now I'm Jose and Sons, Cortez, and Cuya. I've sold my shares there now, and I'm committed to Durham. But it's kind of what I was talking about before, where things are hard until they're not. So like when I first moved to North Carolina, it was like Jabara. I came up with the concept for Jose and Sons. That's I wanted to do Mexican food differently than what it was already here. Like the Tex-Mex that's here is even unique from Tex-Mex in Texas. So I just had a different vision of Mexican, and I was like, I get what it is here, but I'd like to present another idea of it. So that was like hard or whatever. And then Cortez, opening that, I always wanted to have like a seafood restaurant and kind of just done with all flavors. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need a passport to add flavors from other countries to food. So I like thinking that way. And I mean, really, it's like what America is, right? It's like melting pot.
Totally.
Then we opened up the bar, but I was comfortable already, and I knew that I needed something. And then I came across an opportunity to go to Durham, and I started looking at it, and I was doing both for a while, but I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to give all of it my best attention. So I just, opening Durham was hard, right? Like I was living in Raleigh, driving out there, and I know a lot of people do that. Props to those people. Again, I'm just not cut from that cloth.
Yeah.
Like I like to be able to just go home in the middle of the day if I want to and like shower or like brush my teeth or floss or whatever the hell.
Especially when you can't drink coffee. Like
well, I drink coffee now. Coffee now. I did learn. I don't drink it a lot, and I don't know. And I like sweet coffee, and so like I can't drink a black coffee. Like it makes my stomach hurt.
That's okay.
But whatever. I drink coffee. I'm part of the gang. I feel like an adult now. It's a rite of passage almost. So I just started kind of realizing like how much Durham was gonna like take for me to get it going, and not really knowing it. I mean, I was nervous, man. It was a lot. Like even though it's so close and everyone calls us like Raleigh, Durham, or the Trent, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. When you're running a kitchen.
Well, also when you're in Raleigh, I hardly ever went to Durham.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone out there, and I don't know how they were going to receive like someone that's only made a name for himself in Raleigh. Like, I don't know if they cared or what, but.
So how did that partnership come about? Because it's with, blanking on their names, but basically the people behind Mezcalito.
Yeah. So, I had worked already. Jose also was a partner at Cortez.
Okay.
He went and did Mezcalitos. So, he kind of had approached me about some stuff, and I was kind of reluctant. Then I went to go look at the space, and I was like, I really liked the space that it was at. It didn't have an open kitchen, but I just liked that it was tucked away in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then I've always loved the bones of Durham. Like, when I go to Durham, I didn't know much about it, but I've always been like I would look at the buildings. I'm like, it's really cool. Like, there's a lot of brick. Like, I don't know. It just looks really nice.
Yeah. It has character.
Yeah. everywhere it does, but I just always liked it. It's somewhere new. But so it kind of started like that. And I was running both for a while, and I just started realizing, aside from opening Little Bull, there was already talks like we want to do a couple other projects. And there's been a bunch of projects that I want to do. And, they just had this momentum. And he was like, we're looking for someone to kind of help us go into this direction. So I was like really excited about it. And that's when I realized like if we're going to, coming this year, so I'll announce it. When will this air actually?
It will air on Thursday. So we're recording it. It's Tuesday.
Okay.
This will come out on Thursday.
Okay. Well, it's pretty soon. I thought it would be further down. But it's fine. I haven't announced the names, but I'm doing a taqueria in Durham. It's going to have a tortilleria built in it as well. So I'm going to be trying to make, we're going to be making tortillas from scratch. Nixtamalizando, doing everything, and then making tortillas for like all the mezcalitos, for the taqueria itself, and then if the production can hold it, we're gonna try to do wholesale and stuff like that as well.
Oh, nice.
So I've never done a taqueria. Well, take it back again, tangenty. I did just open a taqueria pizzeria in Burlington with them. So again,
you
real
did that.
Quietly, Cielito. Again, that is the fun thing about. This is why I kind of wanted to go in this direction, because it's like, they're moving right now. So it's like, okay, I want to be part of this.
Yeah, they got one coming out in Fuquay, I think.
Yeah, they're opening everywhere.
They're opening in Wake Forest.
Yeah, they're wilding. They're going nuts.
Yeah.
And props. But so they asked me for a couple like different projects. So it was cool. So we in Burlington. I didn't know anything about Burlington.
Yeah.
I don't know how it came about, but they're like, hey, we got this spot in Burlington. We're thinking about this, and I went, looked at it. I was like, it was a nice spot. I don't know anything about Burlington. I don't know what their strategic plan was with that, but I was like, pizzeria, taqueria. I was like, all right, let's play with this. So it's like Mexican pizzas and tacos, and it's awesome. Like,
what's a Mexican pizza?
It's pizza with Mexican shit on top.
So you're just making like a regular pizza dough, like New York style in a gas oven? Or?
Yeah, it's a gas oven. we're not flying in some Italian like dome.
Well, I just didn't know if you're doing a wood fire.
Yeah, no, and I would love to do all that stuff, but
that's
we're trying
a
to
lot
make
of labor.
It is, man, and that's the thing. So like, I'm getting to that point in my career too, where because I wasn't thinking about any of this, right? I wasn't thinking about PR firms. I wasn't thinking in social media, all that. And I know you're supposed to do it, but I'm barely learning to get my face out of the plate, right? Like, and it started. I've done other things than just cook, right? But like, I had to learn how to be like a leader. I had to learn, and I think I had leader qualities in me always, but I had to learn how to like manage people, how to get the best out of certain people.
It's the hardest shit to do, man.
It is, right? But like, and I'm sure there's people have opinions about how I do shit. I'm sure there's people out there that fucking hate me.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, I get it. Like, I'll push people almost to a cracking point. But you need to find out where they're at, right? And again, it's from how I came up. And I'm like, I don't know how to like, I feel like sometimes if you're scared to like kind of tell people what to do and like, not harsh, like I'm not like, do it. Like, it's just like, hey, this is what we do here. And this is how we do it. And this is what we expect. And it's like a team and we're here to win. And like, I don't know what we're winning, right? But like what we're winning is peace of mind.
Yeah, quality food, customer satisfaction.
Proud of what we do. So it's like, and you see, because I feel like in the few moments where I've been like, okay, let's try to change. I don't want to be that person like that. But then it's like, it's almost like your business gets taken for ransom by people and you're like, oh, tippy-toeing. I'm like, hey, man, look, this place runs really fucking smooth when we all get it. But in order for us to all get it, like some of us are going to have to get dragged through the dirt and we'll see if we make it.
So this was my question before we talked about our friends at Cisco is, how does that work with you coming up in like a more traditional system where like you probably got your ass laid into, screamed at, like old school Gordon Ramsay style, versus now, and I guess I think it's Gen Z that's on like the 20s and 30s now, like we're past millennials, and I come from that. And I have a very hard time, to be honest, relating, because it's just like, you know, I played football and like you threw up at practice. That means like you were doing it right, you know, like 2 days. So I'm just saying, like, I don't. It's very hard sometimes to relate because they want to be talked to in a very soft way, and like I guess I can relate because I have little kids and like I get that part of it. Yeah. But at some point, especially when you're going fast paced, at one point you're running 3 kitchens. It's like, how did you set up your system?
I mean, I don't know that I have a system, but like I will say that like when, it kind of goes into what I was saying, where everything sucks until it doesn't, or everything's hard until it's easy type situation. But it's like,
but in those parts, because it sucks until it doesn't, you're talking about business and you're talking about people with feelings that are walking out of your kitchen if you're not treating them right.
Yeah. So like, you know, and I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people, once they get past that, this is wild in a sense.
Oh, you're saying for them it sucks until it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. Then usually it's a big turnaround. Like I've already seen it happen here, right? Like some people have left, some people, and again, it's not like, I don't want people to think that I'm just in there like, wah, but it's like, we do have standards and we do want certain things. And like, you know, I mean, it's just the way it is, and I mean maybe there's another way, but I don't know. Like
so you set a bar,
and then
you hold the line.
I hold to it, right? Yeah. And so the thing is that,
which I think is fair, because I think as long as you're communicating that in a way to like, this is the bar, this is the quality level we expect to, and if you're not doing it, there's no right or there's no ambiguity. Yeah, it's either there or it's not.
Yeah, and I lean on the brigade system, right? Where like I'm fortunate to have a chef de cuisine. You know, and then so I go to him and I'm like, hey, you need to make sure that this, you know, the Sue and everybody. So like, I'm not
That's
trying
Camilo
to. That's
who's doing the social media.
Yeah. Camilo. So like, I you know, you run down that ladder. But the thing is that I've always found people that once they get past it, there's people that right away get it, like it, they stick to you and they believe in you and what we're doing, and they see how. Once the kitchen starts operating real smooth and everyone gets it, like usually that there's no more need to be like on everybody.
Yeah, but it's to get there.
To get there, right? So and I think that's fair game, right? Because like also there's a lot of money put into all this, right? Like people think they're like, oh, I'm like, man, if you knew how little money I'm making at this moment, because we just opened and you pumped all this money and you're doing all, and then to have people be like, well, you know, I'm like, man, honestly, right now, like, we're just trying to do these things and, like, trust us. Like, the product will be good. So you see the turnaround. People start understanding and everyone's a different person, right? But, like, I think the people at Little Bull now, like, Cortez people, they understood me already. They were like, oh, that's just how Chef is. Yeah. And then now people at first were like, this guy, even the things I would say, like, he's wild. Like, what is he talking about? And I'm thinking I'm giving a motivational speech. Okay? Yeah. I'm like, Nick Saban kind of halftime speech. And then people at the end are like, are we in trouble? I'm like, what are y'all looking so scared for? I'm like, but we're gonna, like, you know, and then finally they start getting it, and it's like almost like you're building camaraderie, because they're like, new person comes in and they're like, hey, this is how we do things here. Like, don't mess this up, you know, because we get it now. So,
I like that, because this is how we do things, and I'm repeating myself, but I'm just also working my own head around it. It's like you're setting the standard. It's like you're set, and you're not saying you're doing it wrong. You're just saying this is how we do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very different, I think, than telling somebody, hey, you're doing this wrong. No. This is how we do it.
No, yeah. I mean, and you know, the classic thing, you get like a new cook or something like, oh, my old place, we used to do this. And I'm like, hey, man, no disrespect to your old place, but that's your old place. Yeah. Right? Like, it's not my place. And this is, and look, at the end of the day, everything you learn at every kitchen, you're one day going to pick and choose what you like and don't like. And when you run your kitchen, that's how you're going to operate. And if I went and worked for you, I get it, because I've done it, right? Like, I had ideas, and I'd be like, oh, and they'd be like, stick to the program. You know what I mean? Like, don't write in some new, don't ad-lib stuff when the script is done.
We ain't calling audibles on this one.
Right, because and it makes sense, because, you know, and I get being a young chef and you want to cook all the time and you want to create and you want to go tell the cute girl at the bar that you frequent all the time that you're putting up stuff, and I get it. Like, I understand the whole thing, but also you have to understand that, like, every time I get a new sous chef or every time I get a new lead line cook or something, I'm not gonna change like the whole formula of a restaurant, the menu, because like you're like, oh, I'm great with pasta, and I'm like, okay, we can introduce pasta, but I'm not becoming a pasta restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we have an identity.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about what's going on there. So, first of all, so Little Bull took over Jet Plane Coffee in Durham. It's in the old 5 Points. It's kind of like downtown adjacent, just a couple minutes outside. So it's like up and coming neighborhood. It's gonna be awesome. And also, you guys got a lot of great publicity. You got 36 Hours in Durham from New York Times. They wrote an article about that, so it's national recognition and all this stuff. The menu, from what I understand, how you set it up, it's Pocho food, right? Yeah. So that's like it's kind of second generation Mexican American food, right?
Yeah. So like, I don't know what to call it, and honestly, like I've talked with people. Like, I'm like, what are like, so Victoria Bulabasis, she's kind of been like, I guess like at this point, like I would say almost PR at that point, but not really. Like she just helps
she's
me,
a writer.
Yeah, she helps me write things like, like describe the restaurant. So when we open, she helped me with all these things.
Oh, cool.
And so I was like, what do we call it? And I was telling her what the food is. And I think it's melting pot food, right?
Yeah.
Like I would almost call it like American food because like if you think about what is in the lexicon of like, I think about like, oh, it's Christmas. Everyone's like, oh, you get Chinese on Christmas if it's late night, right? Or like you know, Super Bowls, American sport, you order
wings
Italian
pizza,
food, right?
Italian
Like, or not Italian, but like pizza.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I started thinking about like really what it is. Everyone's like Taco Tuesday, this and this, and it's so embedded that I'm like, what is American food right now? Like, what gets considered American food? And I've always looked, and it's like New American or New this, and I'm like, what is it? And most times it looks like just like French restaurants, like demi sauces and steak and whatever, or it's just like burgers and whatever. And I'm like, I think for all the chefs and all the food that's happening, all the cultures and all the melting pots and all the regions, I think there need not a rebrand. Who am I, right? But this is like my crazy things that I think about, and I'm like, I think we need to reestablish what American food really is. Like, I mean, is Southern food the American food? Is like, what is it, right? So, all the immigrants that have been here, I've had such a. I mean, growing up in Chicago, like all the diners were like Greek run. I grew up around I don't know. So it's like I cook that way, and that's what the food was. So anyway, Pocho is kind of like a derogatory term a little bit. Like when you're born in the States and not in Mexico, they'll be like,
they call you Pocho, like when you visit.
Pinche Pocho, or es un Pocho, or whatever. And I mean, I think it used to make me feel bad, but then when I was
it's like one step above a gringo.
Well, it's like, no, it just means like not from, it's like a not mainland Mexican, you know?
No, I get it, but I'm saying like it would be worse if you were called like I would be called a gringo, you would be called a Pocho.
A Pocho, yeah.
So it's probably a little bit better.
Yeah, there's not like an equivalent out here maybe that I could think of. Maybe if
no, but it makes sense.
Yeah, like maybe being called Yankee in a certain way with a certain tone, you know, we're like, oh, you Yankee, or something like, because you're from, you know what I mean? Yeah. But so, you know, and I started thinking about it, and I had these conversations with my parents sometimes because, like, I do feel like very Mexican. I was raised super Mexican. It was like the first language I spoke was Spanish, right? Like in my house, before you go to school, and then anyway, so you know. But then I look at my father, and he's like always wearing like a Bulls hat, always has a Bulls like a Bears jacket, and then he puts Jardinera on everything, and we love getting tight. Like there's just so many things that are inherently that have made us from living in Chicago our whole lives, and then I've traveled and I've picked up all these things, so that's how I cook, and I don't know what to call it, right? But it's all been from learning within the U.S. and then like palates, like things that I like spicier food, like foods that don't get a lot of like attention sometimes. You know what I mean? I mean now everything's getting attention, but. Yeah,
well, like you have beef chicks on the menu.
Well, yeah, we do like tongue-in-cheek barbacoa, and then we'll put it on bone marrow with like salsa. And I mean, it's just, again, things that are Mexican flavors, but presented in a little bit of a different way. And then some, like I'll put fish sauce and mole. I'll put...
Well, the thing that I was talking, you were talking about pasta, and I was like, oh, well, it's a Mexican restaurant, so how does pasta fit in? But you do your birria tacos, or birria in
dumplings.
A dumpling.
Yeah, in a dumpling, yeah. So, I mean, I've made pasta dishes out of seaweed and put like poblano sauce on them.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think food is just like everyone's kind of all cultures kind of have like similar ingredients in a sense. You know what I mean? There is some wild stuff that doesn't like. I feel like if Mexicans would have fish sauce, our food would be so similar to Thai food, right?
Yeah.
Like all the same ingredients minus fish sauce.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of cilantro, a lot of chilies, a lot of lime, a lot of vegetables. So I'm like, But anyway, so I make these connections and I just like cooking like that. But it's not for the sake of just trying to be fusion. Like I think a lot of these things work. And
totally.
It's like, you know.
And you have access to them. So
Yeah. So when the Pocho thing just came up from that, where I was just like, it's Pocho cuisine. Like, I don't know. It's what a Mexican who was born in Chicago would be making. And one of the things that I've been noticing is like when I do travel around, I start reading some menus and I'm like, damn, this shit looks like one of my menus, you know? And I'm like, oh, in my mind, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I'm not doing research on it, but I feel like there's a lot of people like myself, like first generation American kids or immigrant kids that are coming in. They've already worked for great restaurants, and they're going, hey, I can do my own thing. And then they're doing things that are dear to them, right? Like, as much as I love foie gras, like, it's fine. I love it, right? But like, I would put it on my menu because I do like it like that. But I'm like, I'm not gonna come here and do some demi sauce with a steak. I'm not gonna do foie gras. I'm not gonna do a risotto. I'm not, because there's already enough people doing all those things, right? And I don't think there's enough people doing like wild things that move just this thing forward. So I'm like, I'm gonna make that my lane, and I enjoy it. Like, I really enjoy cooking that way.
I've said this for maybe 5 years now. Kind of echoes what you said. I moved here. It'll be 8 years this summer, and obviously, some people know about the culinary scene in the Carolinas. Like, over the last couple of years, it's definitely gotten somewhat of its due or notoriety. But my dad, who's a like staunch New Yorker, will come down, and like when we would go out to restaurants, he'd be like, "This food is just so good. It's so different. What is it? What's it?" And after thinking about it for a while, it's exactly kind of who you are and what you just said. It's people who have trained in some of the best culinary restaurants and learned all the classics, how to make a demi-sauce, how to make the foie gras or whatever, and you learn like classical French cooking or whatever. But then you come to Carolina, you do stuff from your own creative mind or your own ethnic background that's comfort food for you. And then on top of that, you're incorporating the local agriculture ingredients. So like all that wrapped into one is why this culinary scene is thriving.
Yeah, I mean, I love when I see menus like that. I love when people are just like out there doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I've always said it. Like, I think some people cook like historians.
Yeah,
right? Like they stay true and traditional. And they're not. They're like, no, curry always goes with this, or this always goes with that, and that's cool, right? Because someone has to keep that going. But then I think other people are just like, I like pushing that forward, like, because again, I don't, excuse me, I don't believe I'm like a traditional like Mexican, or I don't think anyone looks at me and be like, that guy's an American. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, it's just an identity thing, right? Food is identity, and this is something that grows naturally to me. I mean, granted, like I want to do pizza one of these days, and I will not do like always fusion. Like I do want to make like just really great pizzas, right? But even then, I'm not gonna be like, oh, these are like exactly Italian pizzas. There will be like Chicago influences. There will be, I don't know, man. I just have this like palate that I like, and I just stick to it.
When you said the Mexican pizzas are just like pizzas with Mexican shit, so it's like queso and like jalapenos and stuff like that.
So I make like a marinara sauce that goes on it, and I'm thinking about like I've done some with like black beans, and we've played around with different things, but we'll put out so. Mexicans love like Hawaiiana, the ham, pineapple, and jalapeno.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily love the ham and all that, but so I did al pastor.
Okay.
So it's like the marinara, al pastor. We put the hot sauce on it, cilantro, onions. It's really good. I mean, it's a flour tostada, basically.
There you go.
It's really good, and it's a fun, playful idea. And again, I just like doing stuff like that. I like pushing stuff forward. Like, I feel like cool tradition, keeping that is fine, but like at some point you have to break tradition to create new stuff, right? And it's fine to do that, and that's kind of what I like doing. Like,
totally.
I'm a mix of stuff. So
has there been? So you came in? Did you have, when you went to Little Bull and created the menu? Did you have carte blanche, or like, Oscar, you get the menu, whatever you want to do?
I've not at Little. In none of my places in North Carolina, I've always been in charge of the menus. Like I've always been an owner, and like
with Little Bowl, since it was a little different because it's Durham versus Raleigh. It's a little, so there's some subtle differences. Did you have to pull back at all from any of the original menu or change stuff up after you guys were open for a little bit and be like, oh, this dish is not working here, or people are not, like, because of the neighborhood or because of the people?
I'll be honest. Durham has been amazing. Like Durham received us with like open arms. It felt like. I was nervous. I'm like, we're like blocks away from Main Street. We're like 6 blocks. So I like it though. I just like the neighborhood and everything. But I mean, I was nervous as hell, but I knew the menu I wanted to bring there. And it's again, I'm always kind of doing things from the same vein. Whoa.
Sierra's listening.
Oh,
always.
did I say something? Anyway, so I was just excited. Like I knew kind of the direction I wanted to take. I really wanted to play with those things, and it has morphed, Little Bull. But everyone loved everything, and obviously some dishes always sell better than others. But no, I mean we like changing the menu there, and it was a little chaotic at first because like I don't know how all the other chefs are, but like hiring people is a little bit hard right now. But in general, I don't tend to get a lot of like people that are like in the industry, like aspiring chefs or anything. Like I usually just get a lot of Latinos that want to come work with me. So this time around in Durham, I didn't have like a pool of people, like that live there. And I didn't want to try to like count on people from here and have them have to, you know what I mean? Like, it was just too much. So I kind of just started putting together a group of people that literally, some of them never even cooked. And it was wild. But it was a risk.
Yeah.
But it was very much worth it because now they're like, in 6 months, they're badasses. And
that's amazing.
And again, we have like a really good chemistry. And the other thing that's happening to Little Bull right now is that, Camilo is Colombian. We have another guy who's El Salvadorian. We have another guy who's Venezuelan. There's a Guatemalan. Maybe a Nicaraguan también. So the thing is that, I'm like, okay, we're building these people, right? And then now they get it. Now they're doing it. Now we're like, not bored, but like, we're like, we got this. This is cakewalk now. So now I'm like, all right, well, let's start doing, again, when it gets comfortable, I get scared. So I'm like, let's drag ourselves to the dirt a little. We're getting too comfortable. So, and that was kind of part of moving to Durham too. I'm like, I'm being too comfortable. Like, I feel stagnant and I don't like this. So like, I put myself in the situation that I thought I never would do. I'm like commuting to Durham and all this. So I took these guys and I'm like, hey, I want to start doing stuff from y'all's country as well. I want to represent, like at first I was calling it Pocho Cuisine, but at this point I'm loaning the semi-derogatory term to them too. I'm like, hey, we're all pochos now. But it's like, hey, like, so it's really fun what we're doing now because now I think that we're getting in our creative, zone.
Yeah.
And then
because now the systems are
we're not worried about the work anymore. I'm not worried about like cut this to the right side, like, or this is ceviche. You gotta we're not doing like everyone knows how to comb their hair, brush their teeth, clean between their toes, belly button. Like they come there ready. They got all the basics. So now we're focusing on creativity. So like we're adding in like fresh made arepas and things that they'll tell me about, and we make it in its true form and it's traditional form. Yeah. And then we start going, what if? And then sometimes it's just like funny stuff. Like we'll come up with a name that sounds like we've been playing with the idea of like pho and pozole, so like fazole, and we like the name. Or like ramen and menudo, and we're like, do we call it menudo or do we call it ramen? Like, so we're just playing around and we're like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then we start playing with it, and then these ideas start turning into they just start morphing. So Little Bull is morphing in the fact that it went from like I was just carte blanche, like creating the whole menu, and I'm like doing it with my upbringing, right? Like a Mexican that's been living in Chicago, traveled to Vegas, traveled to LA, came to the Carolinas, and I'm putting all that. But now I got a bigger creative pot to pull from because now I'm bringing Colombia into the mix, and he spent some time here, and Venezuela, and he spent time here, and this guy lived in Germany for a while. So now we're putting all these food travel ideas, which is a story, right? Like everyone's like, again, like I want to know what everyone's doing, so we're putting all these things together and create dishes. So we have brunch right now, and we're doing like I'm trying to get in a cease and desist. What is it? A cease
and desist?
Yeah. Letter from McDonald's. It'll be like claim to fame. I'll be like, oh, yes, I made it in this world. I don't know why. Like, I want that. I want to be like threatened by them. And I'll post the shit out of that.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, look, I'll tag you on it.
All right, perfect.
But so we're doing like a McArepa. And so it's like a sausage egg McMuffin, but like it's arepas on the top. And then I'm making like a Chicago spiced like pizza sausage for the sausage. We're doing egg, and then we're doing sopes for the eggs Benedict instead of muffins, and then we're doing pan de bono, which is like a yuca bread that's from Colombia. We turned that into like a bagel, and we're doing like an everything bagel with it. Like we're just playing around with shit that I don't think anyone's doing.
Yeah.
And in the day and age, like if you can Google something and not find it, I think that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, you can Google the most random shit and find it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, damn, that exists? That exists. So when we do things, and then I'm like, let's Google, see if anyone's done it. And like, nobody's done it. I'm like, that's our shit. And I love that. I just love that. Like, right? It's a rarity. I don't know if the world needs it or not, but I'm like, hey, we're doing something cool. Like, we don't have anyone like, we don't even have a measuring thing. We're like, we just are honest and we taste it and we're like, is this dope or not?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all we thrive in. Like, I don't care if this is popular. If there's something that's popular because it's all over TikTok or this, and I try it and it doesn't taste good, I'm not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, if things don't taste good, I won't ever serve it because like I'm serving it thinking that someone's gonna. If we don't like it, then what are we doing?
No.
So like, and I know that sounds weird, but you'll be surprised at how many people will just do things because it's like
It's popular.
the thing to do or whatever, and I'm just like, that's.
I mean, dude, not to get political, but like Donald Trump got, won the Iowa caucus, so the masses are asses kind of thing,
Oh man, way to bum me out. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't even pay attention to that.
the bad,
Dude, yeah, no, I hear you though, but you're right. You're right. I mean, I've seen it with music, and I think I'm always on the wrong side. I'm gonna sell out one day. I'm gonna get my chef coat full of like NASCAR, just full of fucking brands and shit, because I need that retirement money. But right now I love creating, man, and right now I gotta be honest. Like, I should have brought Camilo. He's such a good person to like bring to the light, but
anytime, man.
we've been working so well, and there's just this excitement that we have. Like, there's things that we want, and when I don't pay attention, there was a point, like I think when I got my first beard nomination, I felt like pressure.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to act different now. And then I did feel like I'm not going to post shit now because like I'm going to incriminate myself. Like, I'm just like a normal person. And I see all these other chefs and everyone's doing all this wild stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how they do all this. Like, I barely got enough time to get my life in order and keep my team on track. And that's, to me, the biggest change I can make anywhere is start with my immediate people. If I can pay them like livable wages, if they feel excited. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, right now, the excitement in our kitchen is wild. Like, we're like motivated. We're excited. Everyone's creating. And I've worked in so many high producing kitchens, but I'm like, and again, I'm not here to I'm not even hardly there as much right now because I'm like designing all these new places. I'll let you know about them right now. But, I just know what's going on there. And you can feel it when you walk in the kitchen.
That's
like,
awesome.
We believe in ourselves. We're like pushing. And it's not for there's no.
Just because.
It's for us.
Yeah.
It's not like, we can't be let down unless we suck. Right? Like, the only way we're going to be like, bummed out is like, people don't like our shit at all. Or we're overcooking steaks or something. That's the only letdown. Right now, we don't have anything in mind. Like, we just want to be the best versions of ourselves.
It's like a great sports team. You're accountable to yourself because y'all want it and you're all taking pride of it. That's the greatest thing.
And we just take it as it comes, man. Like, all these little like blessings that we get, like 36 hours. I don't know how the fuck we got that. Like, all these things that happen, it's like, it's really cool. It feels great to get that. But I don't want to depend on that because the few times that I did get like, I need to get my social media right. I need to I was like trying to be somebody for somebody. Like, I was trying to be someone different for somebody. And I don't know who that somebody was, like the general public. And then it took me away from myself a little bit. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, do what you do. And it's just that. And like I said, I'm not that great at multitasking. Like, I run I run on a West Coast offense kind of. I don't know. I'm on some different shit. So like, I just move differently, and that's the thing I can do is like create a good workspace for some people, and then like I'm trying to bring these people up. And right now I'm in a good position. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm doing the taqueria, tortilleria. I'm opening up the restaurant in the airport.
Okay.
Which that's exciting.
Oh, we don't know about that.
You didn't?
No.
Breaking news. All right. So. Yeah, I broke it already, I guess. It's not really breaking news. I think it was published in a lot of places already.
Okay.
But
what's going to be the concept?
So it's a Mexican, like, driven, Mexican kind of the way.
Like more fast food Mexican?
Yeah, it's the airport, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to, like, really give people the experience of, like, a culinary destination there. Like, I'm trying to give them just really good food really fast.
Yeah.
And I want to create, like, a nice environment in there. Like, I love airports. Like,
yeah,
I do. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, the airport, but
exciting.
I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'm going somewhere. Yeah, I'm going somewhere. I guess the only time I don't like it is when I'm coming back. Yeah, and you're like,
You have a name?
Yeah, it's called Adios.
Adios?
Yeah. So
bye-bye.
Later.
Yeah.
And then the, like, kind of tagline unofficially is, like, don't miss your flight. I'm trying to make it fun. I'm trying to make it, like, vibrant in there, not stale. I feel like that's the problem. And not even just Raleigh. Like, a lot of airports, it's like everyone looks tired. Like, it just... I'm sure it's hard working at the airport. I worked at the airport, actually. I was security after 9/11. Anyway, it was a weird ass job. And my brother had just come back from war, so he was like, he went to the Iraq War, and so he was working at the airport too, like protecting it. So we would see each other. It was wild. I was the worst employee, honestly.
Well, you said you can't be working in like a 9 to 5.
I had to wear a uniform, and everyone would show up with their uniform all ironed, and mine was like stuffed in my book bag. I'd show up in normal clothes, late, run into the bathroom, change, and they're like, "Why do you not wear it here?" I'm like, why would I want to be seen anywhere with this shit? I don't even like dressing like a chef. Like the fucking chili pepper pants and the I wear Crocs now because I busted my ass.
You don't wear your Jordan. We didn't even talk about Jordans. That's a whole nother episode. You don't even wear. How many Jordans do you have, by the way?
I don't know. I got a grip, but yeah, I don't wear them all, and I'm not gonna sell them. But I do like them. I just grew up in Chicago, so like but I buy the same ones. I don't like go out there. I don't like all the big. It's like,
how many Jordans do you own?
Maybe like 15.
Oh, okay. That's not like crazy. Okay.
I mean, I think that's a lot because I'm like.
Oh, I mean, it's a good amount.
I wear like 3 pairs of shoes.
I think I got like 5. But
I wear like 3 pairs of shoes. You know what I mean? Like I wear like this. And
now you wear the Crocs on the line.
Yeah, I busted my ass opening up Little Bull. I got a
need
concussion.
That support. Oh shit.
Yeah, I busted my. So I walked in, like some pipe broke and there was water everywhere. And the people before us, the floor they put in that kitchen is not a kitchen floor. It's like fucking tile. Like it's slippery as shit. So I was running, stopped because I saw something. I was like, "Foop!" Black like went out. Like I saw someone was like 20 feet from me when I was falling. And when I opened my eyes, they're like over me. Like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "How the hell are they? Like, why are they in my face now? Like, how fast did they get here?" So and then like my elbow got infected. And well, anyway, so now I wear the Crocs, but. I don't know where we were going, but I've never liked like uniforms and stuff like that. Yeah. So, the airport, whatever. Opening up Adios. That's what the company actually like out of Florida. They're the ones that.
Is it the Reef Ghost Kitchen people?
No, it's I should know the name.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll if the name comes up.
Yeah. Any other projects? So you got the taqueria. You're gonna make a tortilla. You're gonna make tortilla,
taqueria, and there's gonna be a little bit of a marisqueria in there. All the ES, right? Okay. Maybe even pizzeria later on. Yeah. So that's gonna be in downtown, and then also I'm doing a coffee shop, and then behind the with like Mexican pastries and stuff like that.
Oh shit.
And then behind that, there's gonna be this like super cool spot. I don't really know what it's going to be yet. I'm playing like that one.
Cocktail bar more?
Cocktail bar for sure, but there's going to be food. And right now, I don't know. It's up in the air. I do really well like on 4th and goal. So like I'm waiting till they're like, we need to know what it is. And I'm going to be like, boom.
All right,
and then it sounds right. But the space is already there. I'm already working on designing it. Designing the tortilla. It's become one of the new things. Like, so it was really cool. I mean, I've always done that, right? With Cortez, all that stuff. But like, I'm really getting into like the airport. I have a big say on how we're designing it. That's a little weird because there's like it's a business, and they're like, we don't want like, I had all these plants and stuff, and they're like, we don't like, we have a bird problem. So I was like, damn it. So, but I mean, I'm trying to bring that little bit of life again, where you're in the airport, but you don't feel like you're at the airport.
Yeah.
Because it's a captive audience, but you still want to make it pleasurable. You know what I mean? So
totally. All right.
Yeah.
We're almost up against the clock here, so I got 2 last questions for you. First one. I've heard a lot of different schools of thought, but what is the ideal cook time for ceviche?
It's fast.
It's fast.
It's way faster than whatever anyone's telling you.
Okay, because
it depends. If it's a Mexican person telling you that doesn't really cook, they're gonna be like, leave it in lime juice overnight.
Yeah,
they like it a little bit more.
Like 4 to 6 hours is what I used to.
I make ceviche in like 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
5, 4. How quick do you want it? Okay.
So do you cook it in the lime juice like to order?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I mean, every now and then, like if it starts getting really busy, I'm like, yo, put like 5 orders in the bowl, mix it up, and then we know we're gonna push that out right now. So like we'll do it that way. But I mean, and you're gonna be, whoever's listening, that you're welcome to take this recipe. But so it's like steak, right? Like if you like it more well done,
then you cook it longer.
Then you leave it longer, right? But for me, I think like I don't mind like a ceviche overnight, kind of like the old Mexican style way. I grew up eating it like that sometimes. But like really, like I just you cut your fish not too thick, not too thin. put it in a bowl, hit lime juice and salt, and just mix it, and you'll see it turn opaque. You just want it to receive a little bit of that, excuse me, that acidity. But it's like kind of like sushi you eat raw, right? So like I feel like people forget that you can eat also raw fish. They think like, oh, you can't eat that ceviche. It's kind of raw. And I'm like, well, I mean, if it's quality fish, like you would be eating it with just soy sauce and whatever. So again,
true.
all you need is that acidity to start hitting, right? So and then I also make like leche de tigres and stuff to add more acidity to it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's fast. Once you see that it takes on that color, it's ready to go.
All right. Last thing.
Yeah.
36 hours in the New York Times because your food is divine. Got 2 nods. Now he's talking about it on the NCF&B pod. How's your freestyle game?
Oh God, no. That's awesome. You had the balls to just rap live. That's awesome. No. I mean, I like freestyling. Sometimes I'm in the shower, I'm hearing music, things drop. I used to do it a lot around town. Like I'd go around and like if someone on Glenwood, sometimes there'll be the circle of people that would just get there and start rapping. And I remember like jumping in one time and just killing their cipher.
But you got nothing for me now. That's okay. We can cut this.
No. I mean, I would love to do it, but I'm like, I don't know. I'll cuss a lot. I might get myself canceled up here.
Maybe another time when you're feeling it. You record it and you send it in.
No, I will. I'll be honest. I'll put this. I'll let y'all in on this. So because I don't do the social media, I've been thinking about it. But I'm like, now that I've moved to Durham, I'm like, I don't know that many people out there. So I've had a little bit of like free time. And I'm kind of like getting back into things I used to do. So I've like bought some. I just ordered actually like stuff so I can like make little beats. I'm getting turntables again. I'm just kind of going into it, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I like introduced a new menu through like rapping it a little bit, like in a clip. So I'm already kind of working on
now
like
that would be some good social media shit right there.
Yeah, and I think that's fun, right? Because I'm staying true to something, but like it's so weird because I'm so detached from it. Also, I'm getting old, right? So like I'm like,
how old are you?
42. Wait. Okay. No. 41.
41.
Yeah,
Gonna be 42?
42 in February. Yeah. Okay. Shit. I was like, damn, I'm turning 43. Yeah, so I mean, it's fine, but like I'm like, okay, all right, maybe I'm not, I don't want to be that guy all the time, but I do enjoy it, right? And so I do love creativity. I love all that. I love the excitement of that. But I wish I had it in me today, but I just, I'm like,
That's cool.
But yeah, I'll let you know. But I have been thinking about that. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to bring all the things that I love doing into what I love doing currently, and they don't have to be separate, right? Like I always make playlists at work. I do all the stuff for the restaurant like that, but I'm like, oh, I can bring in a little bit more and then not always have to be creative within the food world, which also helps me not get that writer's block, Like
for sure.
You're just being creative and you have these ideas running, like a sound, a sunset, like things will start, like you forget. When you're just in the plate, then sometimes you're like, oh, and then now I'll look at something like that. I want to see that color on a plate, or I want, like that texture looks good. I want to mimic that on this. So
you're not closing yourself off.
Yeah. You just keep that avenue open.
Hey, man. It's been great chatting with you again. Yeah. Thanks for coming back in. Check out all of the stuff you got going on with the taquerias, the tortillerias, and the maizeria.
Marisqueria.
Marisqueria.
Yeah, so that's like seafood.
Seafood.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. All happening in Durham.
All in one spot. Yeah, that's all gonna be one
Can
location.
You give us the location, or is that?
Yeah. So it's gonna be on. I should know the street. It's right in front of Boxcar.
Okay.
In downtown.
Right in front of Boxcar. That's on.
Gear or Greer?
No, Gear's up, but yeah, I think it's Foster. Like, yeah, but
it's right there. It's literally right in front of it. Not King's, not Coco Cinnamon, not Greer Street. It's this new build that they're putting up. So we'll be on the first floor there. And
when should we look for that?
So we just got the go ahead to put in our people and start building it out. So we're maybe like 3 months away.
Okay.
And then on Ramsar Street by Mezcalito is going to be the right next to Mezcalito is going to be across from Pony Stores, and Mezcalito is going to be the coffee shop.
Nice.
And then in the back will be that, and then at Airport Terminal 2, that should be at some point towards. I think mine got pushed back a little bit. I think the kitchen that I'm gonna be taking is the kitchen they're using right now for a lot, because they're like everything. I haven't traveled in a bit, so I haven't seen what it looks like. But last I heard, like almost everything's closed in there or something like that.
So much turnover going on in the airport.
Yeah. Well, they're completely flipping it. I know we're done, but just so you know, they're doing RDU's doing a fantastic job of like bringing in all local stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're really
totally.
pushing
La Farm, Scott Crawford, you're going in there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then they got some nationals. I think Guy Fieri might have something there, and Bobby Flay or something. But I mean, they're that's legit. I mean, not many places, not many airports are really putting their local people in the airport. So that's a cool thing that they're doing here. So I'm really excited about that. I didn't think I was.
That's cool. It's a good company.
Yeah. Now I'm like.
That's cool, man. Well, for all of you out there, go check out Little Bull. You will eat and drink extremely well.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.